children. How are you getting on? I hope you all are happy and fine. Today I am here again to help you in your general English, advanced level English. And before I start my lesson, I have to remind you something. Remember children, you are learning general English in your A-level classes, and with my experience I know most of you are focusing on your main subjects. But remember, after your advanced level, you are going to your university education, that means higher education, or else to the world of work where you need English very much. So, that's a small request. Please go ahead with your English language learning just like you are learning all the other main subjects, right? So, today I am going to do some interesting activities with you all. And just to begin the lesson, I am going to introduce you what we are going to do today. So, basically in my lesson, I am going to teach you how to use simple present tense to relate a story, using adjectives to describe people, and dialogue writing, that is very important in your test paper, and informal letter writing. So, in the first unit, you have a lesson about an everyday hero, Ramya. So, this is a character we are going to learn today. So, can you think who this Ramya is? Let's read the story and see. And special thing is here, I have highlighted all these verbs in this story, and you have to pay your attention to these words, because when telling stories, usually we use past tense, and you might have heard these stories when you were small children with your grandparents, with your mom telling stories to you. And how did they start the story? Like once upon a time. But here my story is in present tense. We are going to tell something that happens and different, and it is something to do with present tense, right? So, are you interested in reading the story? Okay, shall we start reading it? I will start reading and you can join and read the story with me, right? Ramya is a waiter. He works at a restaurant. One day, Ramya leaves work at 4 o'clock. He gets on a bus to go home. Ramya sits down behind the driver. That's very important, right? You go with and see why is it important. Suddenly, the bus driver leans forward. Ramya jumps up. Are you okay? He asks the bus driver. The bus driver doesn't answer. So, he finds it quite difficult, right? So, the bus is going fast now and nobody is driving it. He tries to pull him out of the driver's seat. The bus driver is a big man. Ramya can't pull him. So, again, Ramya facing a difficulty. The bus driver is a big man. Ramya can't pull him. So, if you happen to face something like that, what would you do? You are on a bus, they are to help the driver, the bus is moving, and you are finding it quite difficult to control the situation, handle the situation, right? So, we will see. The bus is going fast now. There's a picture, then I think you can imagine the feelings of the people and how this Ramya is struggling inside the bus to do the possible things and do his level best to help these people, right? So, the bus is going fast now. Ramya has to stop the bus. He puts his hand on the steering wheel. So, something that he is going to do to help these people and to stop the bus. He seems to be very active and he is taking a wise decision, I think. So, have you heard this type of a story where a person finds it very much necessary to do something very quickly? You can't think and wait for a long time. Then after that, what he does? he puts his left foot on the brake and then he is going to stop the bus. Do you think that he is successful? Will he be able to stop the bus? Let's see. He drives the bus to the left of the street, a wise thing, right? So he is slowly taking the bus to the left, right? Slowly he stops the bus. An ambulance arrives. How does an ambulance come there? Sometimes the people on the bus might have called an ambulance, right? So an ambulance arrives and takes the bus driver to hospital. Something again that they have taken a wise decision, right? So the most important thing is to save the life of the driver as well as all the other people, the passengers on the bus. So what happened to the passengers on the bus? Right, because Ramya was quick in his thinking and he acted quickly, he could save all the passengers and everyone on the bus. All the passengers on the bus are okay, right? So when you read this story, what do you feel about this person? Can you remember his profession? Who is he by profession? He is just a waiter. But what did he do right at the correct moment? He became a bus driver as well, right? So Ramya works at a restaurant. He is a waiter. But one day, for 10 minutes, Ramya was a bus driver and a hero. So why do we think him as a hero? You might have heard the stories of heroes. What do they usually do or what have they done? So helping somebody or lot of people, not only people, even kind of like dangerous animals, right? So then they do a kind of like brave things to help someone else, right? So then Ramya is a hero. Do you agree that Ramya is a hero? In my case, I think he is, because being a waiter, he could do everything. So he has another skill. That means he has passed his driving test and obtained a driving license, or not, he is able to drive a bus, right? So anyhow, right at the right moment, he did something very, very excellent, right? Then, what are the words we can use to describe Ramya? So we can talk about his qualities. I think some of the words I told you when I was explaining his brave act, right? So we'll see. Some of the qualities, of course, all his qualities we heard in this story are positive. People have positive qualities as well as negative qualities. But here he showed almost all the positive qualities, right? Let's see. So I have a list of words and let's go through that and see what we can choose to describe Ramya the best, right? Quick thinking, observant, clever. So I hope you understand the meaning of quick thinking. Observant means you are watchful. You are looking at what's happening and you are keeping your eyes open and watching everything. That's known as observant, right? So clever, of course, a very common word that you know. Then selfish, courageous and happy. So selfish, is it applicable for him? Let's see, right? Obedient is also another positive quality, but is it okay for him at this moment, right? So he's brave, he's active. Thoughtful. Was he thoughtful? We'll think. Rough. Is it a positive quality or a negative quality? Rough person, right? Creative. Again, a positive quality, but the thing is it applicable for Ramya at this moment, right? Reserved. What about the other passengers in the bus? I think they were very reserved characters. they did not help Ramya at all, but they also saved their lives because Ramya was a quick thinker, or he was thinking quickly, right? So, Ramya's act was very helpful. He was a vigilant person. Again, observant and vigilant we can take as similar words. Right, so there is a list of words. I think most of the words are now familiar to you after listening to my explanation or giving all these words and their meanings. So, the other one is intelligent. Do you think Ramya is intelligent? Yes, he is. Then, is he a practical person? I think yes. How? He kept his hands on the steering wheel, he applied brake, and then he moved the bus to the left of the road. So, all these things he did because he was a practical person. And is he kind? Yes, kind to all of them, right? So, I think these are some of the positive qualities, as well as there were some other negative qualities. Then you can choose it out. Let's move on. Quick thinking is, of course, positive, and we can just give it for Ramya, but only 2 words. Selfish is negative, rough is negative, obedient is positive, but at this moment it is not matching, that is all, right. Then happy, happy is also, he is happy actually because he did something brave. So, if you were Ramya, so are you going to be happy after doing something very brave? Of course, yes, right. So, in your textbook, there are some activities. I would like to discuss these activities with you, at the same time help you in these activities. One thing is, remember children, when it comes to sentence construction, that is a question that they are going to test in your national level paper. So, we have to be very much familiar with the words, their word classes, as well as how you are going to use the sentence in present tense, or whether it is continuous or past tense. So, your grammar and your ability to construct a sentence is very important. So, I am going to help you in that. So, I have chosen some words from the list. I think these words are there: observant, quick thinker, not reserved and not selfish, clever and intelligent are the words that I have chosen, and I have used his name as Ramya, and I have put them in sentences. Shall we read them? First one, Ramya is an observant person. By now, you may know the meaning of the word observant, and I taught you a similar word as well. Can you remember it? Starting with V, yes, vigilant. He seems to be a quick thinker. Ramya is not reserved, or he is not selfish. So, I put those 2 ideas in one sentence. Ramya is not reserved or selfish. Ramya is clever and intelligent. I think you can take these sentences as samples and try out writing some other sentences using the words in the list I gave you. By the way, did you copy down the words I gave you on the screen? So, if you want a moment, I can just show you the words again. Quickly take a book and note down the words. Fine. Here are the words. Okay, fine children. Let's move on to the next activity. Here again my focus is on an activity that is on your textbook, page number 4, activity 2. That is to write a simple paragraph using these words to describe the character of Ramya. So, I have written a small paragraph. So, you can read it on your own. So, after a few minutes, I will read it out for you. Okay, look at the screen and try to read those sentences. So, these are not very simple, but you can just go through them as you are in A-level classes, you can just read these sentences, I hope, right? Okay, do you want my help? Okay, what's the first sentence? Ramya works as a waiter in a restaurant. He gets home from work by bus. That is his usual practice, right? So, it's his habit to get onto a bus and get back home. He seems to be a vigilant person. He was brave and his quick thinking was helpful. Yes, of course, his quick thinking was helpful to many. Many people were saved because he was a quick thinker. Remember that very well when you face something like that, an accident maybe. So think quickly, act fast and try to help other people. So helping is something that brings you happiness as well as others you can make happy, right? So remember, helping others is really a good deed and it comes to you back once you are in trouble, definitely. I believe in that, right? So shall we move on? There are some more in that particular paragraph. All the passengers were safe as he stopped the bus carefully, driving it to the left of the street. That was another wise thing, right? So he managed to take the bus to the left of the street. As Ramya was courageous and practical, he helped many people, including the driver, right? So can you remember, driver's life was also saved, people are also saved. How did you feel about that paragraph? Once you get to some kind of studies, again you may have to write sentences like this to write paragraphs. So please try to use correct English, I mean the grammatically correct sentences. Your marks are allocated for that. You have to write grammatically correct, meaningful sentences, right? So your marks are given if only both these things are there, right? So first of all, you have to write a grammatically correct sentence and it should convey a meaning. If it is meaningless, if the sentence is correct, you are not awarded marks. Remember that very well. So we have to write both grammatically correct, meaningful sentences. So again, another activity that is something to do with speaking, right? So that is again related to dialogue writing in your test paper, and there are 4 activities actually. So writing dialogues in 4 ways. So 1 or 2 I will help you and all the other things we will discuss in further lessons, right? So let's read what you have got to do. As Ramya tells the story, the family must ask him questions, show that they are scared and proud of him. You have to pay attention to these 2 points. They are scared because this is something, a kind of accident if he was not alert, vigilant, right? So they are proud of his brave son, right? So we have to think of these things and construct questions, and then let's see what type of interesting questions are you going to ask him, Ramya, okay, if you are to take the role of a member of his family. So I think you are asking these questions and thinking that, imagining that you are a member of his family, right? So I have made it as a simple activity. I have given you some questions. Match the answers in B with questions in A, right? So the questions are, where were you seated? How did you help him? Did any other passenger offer you help? So I will give you 1 minute. Think of the answers, and these are the ways that you have to ask some questions. So question formation is also another task that you have to think of. It was earlier in your test paper as another test, but in the test paper that they have designed now, they have not included that question. So you are lucky enough that you are not going to form questions, but remember that is only for testing. In everyday life, always you have to question people to get information, right? So that is spoken. So remember, we are communicating, asking questions, giving information. So here Ramya's family is asking some information, asking him some questions. So I have formed those, right? Where were you seated? What can be the answer of Ramya for that question? Right, let's see. Behind the driver's seat. How did you help him? Can you remember how Ramya helped the bus driver? Let's see the answer that he gives. First I questioned him. He didn't reply. I too was helpless. Okay, then the family members are quite inquisitive. They wanted to ask Ramya whether was he the only person on the bus. Did any other passenger offer you help? What's Ramya's answer? Oh, no, really they didn't help him. Can you remember? He was the one who was handling everything, right? So some more other questions. Let's see. Another person asks, so were you not trying to stop the bus? Can you remember whether he was trying to stop the bus or not? Yes, this is his answer. Why not? I tried to lift the driver first. Then another person asks, were the people frightened? Were they screaming? Can you remember the reaction of the people on the bus? Nothing was there about the reaction, right? So Ramya says very frustratingly, no, how strange, they were silent. Then another person says, really frightening. So how did you manage to stop the bus? How did he manage to stop the bus? Yes, I think my children can remember now very well how he tried it, right? This is his answer. Keeping my hands on the steering wheel, I applied brake. Okay, fine, a brave boy, right? So then another person asks, what happened to the driver? Yes, children, what happened to the driver? So when he was taking the bus to the left of the street, where was the driver? Yes, here is the answer. The driver was still on the seat. Then another person asks, finally, how did you save the driver? That is the most important thing because he does a very great service daily, right? Most of the people. So we have to save his life. So Ramya says very bravely, sent him to the hospital in an ambulance, right? Then this is how you are going to raise questions in dialogue formation, right? So to do some further practice on this, I have formed some other dialogues and you can go through them and shall we read and see. Before that I thought of helping you out in forming questions, right? So I think these sentences are there in the story. Ramya is a driver. It is a positive sentence. Ramya is not a waiter. So that is to say the negative idea, right? So I have added not there, and when you want to say something negative, the word not you can add just after the verb, that is be verb. I think you can remember these grammar lessons, right? So Ramya is not a waiter. That gives a negative idea. Then we have to ask questions. So the previous activity was asking questions and giving answers, right? So I wanted help in forming questions. So basically we can just take some ideas and how to do it grammatically. I am going to show you, right? So in the first positive sentence, the verb is just after the subject. Now what has happened to the verb in question formation? It has come first. Is Ramya a waiter? So that is known as interrogative or question form. Then after that negative question, isn't Ramya a waiter? So then let's see some other examples how to write positive, negative, interrogative and negative. Interrogative, Ramya works at a restaurant. There the verb is an action verb or it tells us something about what he does, right? So Ramya works at a restaurant. So I think you know how to divide this present tense sentence into two parts like does and work and add not in between, right? So Ramya does not work at a restaurant. Does Ramya work at a restaurant? Now you have two parts and you take the first part out. Does Ramya, then the second part of the verb, work at a restaurant? It's just like doing maths. You have two parts, taking the first part and then after the subject you are putting the or adding the other part of the verb. Does Ramya work at a restaurant? Then that is the interrogative question. So then negative interrogative means does not, shortened form is doesn't. You take that part first out, then doesn't, then you keep the subject and the other part of the verb work. So you can form the negative question, doesn't Ramya work at a restaurant? Right. So I have another example to help you out to do some WH questions as well. Does Ramya work at a restaurant? That's question. So I want to know about the place where Ramya works. So I have added that WH question, where does Ramya work? So the answer is at a restaurant. Then he comes home from work by bus is my next sentence. So then you can easily divide the verb comes into two parts, does and come. So then take the first part out. Does Ramya come home by bus? It's the question. So just an ordinary question from the sentence. But if you want to know the way how he comes home, you can just add the word WH word how at the beginning of the word does and form that question. How does Ramya come home? So what is the answer for that? By bus. Did you notice something? So when you form these WH questions, you are not taking the part that you are going to get as the answer. So in the first one, we know in the sentence we have Ramya works at a restaurant. Does Ramya work at a restaurant? So when you want to know about the place, WH question is where. So then again you can't put the word restaurant in that particular question that you are going to form. So then where does Ramya work is the only part you are going to ask in your question. The answer at a restaurant, right? So remember very well, the WH question denotes certain ideas, so you are not going to include them in your question. The best example is the way he comes home by bus. So when you ask the question the way or the manner, how, you are not including that part in your question. How does Ramya come home? So just simply say by bus, the answer, right? Okay, I think what I told was clear to you, and you just try some other sentences in your story and try this out, right? Again, I have used continuous form sentences. The bus is going fast now, positive. Then I am going to form the negative question. The bus is not going fast now, negative. Is the bus going fast now? It's my question. So I simply took that. You can see there are two parts in the verb, is and going. Remember, is not giving any meaning without the verb going, and is and going together forms the verb of that sentence. So then is going, you can take the first part is out. Is the bus going fast now? The negative form is not, isn't. Take it first. Isn't the bus going fast? So this is how you are going to form continuous form or progressive form sentences into questions and negative questions, right? So next example. Nobody is driving the bus. Negative, because they are the word nobody, right? Then when you form the question, I have changed the word nobody to anyone, right? So is anyone driving the bus? It's the question. So then I want to get to know the reason. So I am asking the WH form question, why? Why is not anyone driving the bus? It's my question. So the answer is the driver is sick and not driving it. When you want to get to know the reason of something, the WH form you are going to use is why, right? So then my question, why is not anyone driving the bus? The driver is sick and not driving it. Fine. Children, I hope you get a clear idea of what you are going to do in dialogue writing, because we have to use WH questions as well as simply taking the verb out, forming another question as I have shown in these slides, right? So then let's see what I'm going to tell you in my next slide. Dialogue writing. This is very important. Once also I told you that in your general English paper, they are going to give you different types of dialogue writing activities. So that means conversations. So then here I am going to help you in one of those, and there they are going to give you some condition. Here my condition is Raj and Dev are old friends. They have met each other in Colombo after some time. So old friends met after some time, and they are talking about their workplaces. That is also important, right? So they are talking about their workplaces means they are no more school children. They are adults and they are working now, right? So just like after your A-levels, after your higher studies, you are also going to work, and then you meet your friends after some time. Often like in school life, you won't meet your old friends. So here we are going to discuss about a situation where those two are friends and meeting somewhere in Colombo and talking about their jobs, right? So, but only Raj part is given, that's important. Imagine you are Dave and complete the dialogue. This is one type of dialogue writing exercise or the question that they are going to test in your government test paper, right? Hi Dave. Dave is answering, hello Raj, nice to meet you. How are you? These are the very first things we are going to say when we meet someone after some time, isn't it? Then what is the answer? Very usual one, you know this. I'm fine. Where are you working now? I'm no more there in Colombo. I'm working at Ceylon Bank's Gold branch. Raj responds, oh, you got a new workplace. That's good. Isn't it close to home? Remember children, something very important. Oh, got a new workplace? That means he had been working somewhere else before he got this transfer or the new working place, right? Yes, just why not? It's quite easy for me. So, how about you? So, always Raj was asking certain questions and they was giving answers, and he wants to know about Raj now. So, he says, how about you? I'm still teaching at Kurunagal, the same school. That means he has not got a transfer anyway. We have one master from your former office, one Mr. Soiza. Do you know him? So, once you want to refer to a person, one Mr. Soiza means there are so many people by that surname Soiza. So, he wants to say one of those, right? So, that is why he says one Mr. Soiza. Do you know him? Again a question, right? So, I taught you forming this type of questions in my previous slides. Now, I think this activity will be easy for you and something interesting, right? Really, he is a very nice person. Please give my regards to him. Raj is saying something after meeting friends, then you are suggesting something to please the friend. Let's go to a cafe and enjoy some snacks if you are not in a hurry. So, you are going to have some snacks and kind of refreshments. That's a good way to maintain your relationship, isn't it? To show that you are going to enjoy this company, right? So, that's a good idea. Let's move on. Do you think that they went to a restaurant or not? Most probably, right? So, sometimes in your test paper they say that you are just ordering some items in a restaurant after organizing a birthday party. You have to give a telephone call to the receptionist, or else you are going to order some meals for your party. So, you are going to just get to know about the words like menu, ordering. So, you have to get to know these things. So, I have just included some other sentences or the questions and answers in that form. So, in a situation where they two are in a restaurant now, right. So, let us see. Imagine they are at the restaurant. Raj is speaking with the waiter. Think you are the waiter and fill in the blanks to complete the dialogue. Here, Raj is asking, is this table free? Actually, here my answers are there. Already the blanks are filled. So, but in your test paper, sometimes you may get this type of a question, or else you have to form the whole thing, right. So, I am sorry sir, this table is reserved, but that one by the window is free. So, Raj says, oh, that is good in a way. It does not matter. So, that means he is not very happy to go there to the table that is close to, or that is by the window, but he says, okay, I am going there, right. We will take it. The menu please. So, once you go to a restaurant or a place that you are going to order some food, so you need the menu. Then the waiter says, here you are sir. When you want to give something, we can just use that, here you are. So, when your friend asks you for, could I have your pencil, just giving that you can say, here you are, right. So, likewise the waiter is giving the menu. Well, let us start with a lemon juice. I see grilled chicken on the menu, certain food items, right. Very well sir. And what else you want? That is a question the waiter asks. We need baked potatoes and garlic bread. Fine, they are going to have a nice meal, right. So, tasty and delicious and mouth-watering, isn't it? Fine. Sorry sir, we haven't got baked potatoes at the moment. Wouldn't you mind mashed potatoes with bread? So, you are giving another idea. So, suggesting, wouldn't you mind mashed potatoes with the bread? Because politely he is telling something is not available. Sorry sir, we haven't got baked potatoes at the moment. So, you are going to say something that is not available. So, you are just apologizing, saying sorry, right. Okay. Anything to drink sir? Yes, we need mineral water. Yes sir. Is that all you order sir? Yes, that is all for the moment. That suggests that sometimes they may order something more, right. So, leaving that space that he says, yes, that is all for the moment. That suggests that, or that hints the idea that they are not going to stop eating after these things, right. Sometimes they may order, fine. Let us see. So, with these clues or with these sentences, I think questions and answers, really, you will be able to form questions and answers to suit in your test paper. So, I just want to help you children. So, I think if there are some important things you may note down, like some other very good form of words and questions that you can ask, and these are the set of questions that you can ask in a restaurant, right. Then again another important activity really, this is writing informal letters. So, in your day-to-day life children, you have to write letters. Nowadays letter writing is very limited, because you are having all these mobile phones and you are going to just SMS to your friends, and then you don't want to wait for a long time to get the reply. But actually when you write a letter, you have to wait for some time to get the reply back. So, that is also something interesting, because you have to wait. So, that keeps you waiting, and then you are just imagining, oh, what will be the reply and all that. So, then you want to wait, but here with your modern technology you are just having SMS, right. But in my focus that I am going to tell you how to write informal letters. Remember children, in your general English test paper, they are going to test you writing informal letters, writing formal letters other than the essays. All these things are included. So, you have to be very much aware of how to write these letters to get some good marks, right. So, scoring some good marks in a test is also very important, because your target is to get a good grade. Other than that, in your daily life, these things are very important, especially when you work in a place or when you are writing to a friend who has left you and now overseas, or your parents or your father especially not with you and working abroad. So, you can just get some information. So, I am just going to help you in writing informal letters, because there is a particular structure or a format you have to follow in writing these letters, and then according to that format you are given or you are awarded some marks. So, this format is very important, right? When you are writing informal letters, you are writing those things to share ideas, right, or information with your friends, family members or relatives. That is also important because it is an informal letter, writing to friends, writing to family members and writing to relatives. That is why it becomes unofficial or informal, right. So, then friends, family members, relatives, regarding what are you going to write these things? Let us see. To share personal information, special events in family or school or workplace, right. So, then what is it important? Why are you going to write these letters? To maintain relationships. Maintaining relationship is very important, right, to get others' opinions, ideas when making decisions, right. Then format of an informal letter, sender's address, date, next after that salutation, body of the letter and ending. So, there is activity on your textbook, that is activity 4, page number 4. Imagine you are Ramya and write a short letter to your friend abroad describing your experience. So, here is his letter. Ramya writes his address first, sender's address, number 34/55, Nikavaratiyar. The date next, 17th February 2021. He is addressing his friend, salutation, dear Kavit, hope you are keeping well. I couldn't hear from you for some time. I think you are busy with your work schedule. So, that is a kind of like introductory paragraph and maintaining your relationship with him to show that he is not just a friend but a long time friend, right. So, then after that this letter will be quite surprising to you once you finish reading it. Last Friday was an unforgettable day for me. On my way home from work, I got onto a bus as usual. The word as usual, right, remember, very important. I was seated right behind the driver's seat. Then what happened? The driver suddenly leaned forward and I noticed this right at the correct time. I jumped from seat and spoke to the driver. He was silent. I wanted to pull him out of the seat. The best part of it was he was big and I found it quite hard to move him out of the seat. It was quite dangerous as the bus was moving fast without anyone driving it. As other passengers offered no help, I managed to stop the bus, taking it to the left side of the route. I could save many lives and no one was hurt at all. We sent the driver to hospital in an ambulance. Everything went all right as I was vigilant enough and reacted fast. Everyone admired me and my family was proud of me. I could be a bus driver for a few minutes being a waiter. How clever your friend is. See, you can be glad that I am your friend. So, this is the body of the letter, right. So, he was describing the whole thing and that is known as the body of the letter. And then after that, what is that? Next, right. Waiting to hear things about you. Write me once you find a free time. Wish you all the best. This is the ending, like you know, you are going to finish your letter and even you can say, I am winding up at this, or you can just say, wish you all the best. Yours sincerely, Ramya. So, your friend may get your letter and read it. So, my dear children, I was taking some examples and trying to help you in writing letters, dialogues and using adjectives to describe people's qualities as well as using simple present tense to relate a story. I think my lesson was useful and you enjoyed it, and let's meet again with another lesson. Stay safe. Goodbye.